You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hey everyone, for Food Sessions and Feed SCV, I'm Todd Wilson. This is my son CJ. Say hi. And today we're going to make a family meal and one of his favorites. And literally, when I say one of, it's absolutely his favorite. CJ, what are we making?
Mac and cheese.
Yeah, mac and cheese. We stumbled across, and by we I mean my wife. The most simple, the quickest, and really, honestly, it's a great recipe for mac and cheese using an Instant Pot. So we've got it here. It's some simple ingredients, some macaroni, 2 types of cheese, a little bit of butter, a little bit of salt, a little bit of hot sauce, a little mustard, and about 4 minutes in the Instant Pot. So it's pretty easy. You ready to get started, bud?
Mm-hmm.
All right, what do we need to do first?
We first need to put the mac in.
Yep. So we got. Let's bring the whole thing over here. I'm gonna. There we go. So we start with 4 cups of water, because any good mac and cheese is going to need some water to get things started. So a full box of macaroni, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. 1 pound, 16 ounces of elbow macaroni. You want to dump that in?
So the entire thing?
The entire box. There you go. And what else do we put in there?
We put the mustard.
The mustard. Yep, it's about a tablespoon of mustard, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just squeeze that in. There we go. What else?
We need the hot sauce.
The hot sauce. We do about a teaspoon of the hot sauce, right? You want to do that? You want to shake that in? Keep going, 2 more. There you go. That's good. That's good. We use Frank's. Any of your favorite hot sauce will work great. If you want to do Tabasco, you can do that. You're just looking for a little bit of flavor, a little extra kick. All right, so we've got the macaroni, we've got the water, we've got the mustard, we've got the hot sauce. What else do we need?
The butter.
Butter. How much butter do we need? Do you remember?
2 tablespoons.
2 tablespoons. Right on the money, buddy. And butter makes it easy because it labels it right there for you. You want to peel that and throw that in there?
Yep.
All right. Whoop. All right. Thanks for the splash. All right, we got everything but one last ingredient. What do we need?
We need 1 tablespoon of salt.
You really have worked a lot with Mommy on this because you have this all memorized. So it's good. A couple pinches of salt. There we go. All right. Is that it?
No, we need to stir.
We need to stir it. So let me grab a spoon. We'll get a spoon right here. Stir it all up. Well, hold on. Here, use this one. That's a slotted spoon. We don't want that, so we use a spatula. And get that all mixed up and stirred in together. Don't worry about the butter, bud. It'll melt when it's cooking. All right, put the lid on. I love the Instant Pot. It sings to you. It's very nice. And we set this thing, let's see. Pressure cook. Of course I can't see. Pressure cook, set it for 4 minutes. Make sure it is going to seal, and we'll see you back here after it's done. All right, while the mac and cheese is cooking, well, the macaroni, I guess, there's no cheese in that, right?
Yeah.
So what should we do while we're waiting for it to cook?
Shred the cheese.
Shred the cheese. So what do we need? We need, what kind of cheeses?
Cheddar.
Cheddar and
I forgot what that was.
Parmesan.
Parmesan.
Parmigiano Reggiano. That's the good stuff. So the cheddar, we want a sharp or an extra sharp cheddar. You want something with a good kick, something that's going to give you a good bite, right? You want not an actual bite. So do you want to start shredding that?
Yep.
We need, not that way,
I'm
we need 16 ounces of cheddar cheese. So 2 8-ounce bars, or if you get the Tillamook from Costco, the big ones, use about half of that. It's a lot of cheese, but it's really cheesy and really good. You want me to help?
Yes.
Okay. Let me get this done real quick. You can do this on a box grater like this. You can do it in a food processor if you'd like. Do not, I repeat, do not buy any sort of pre-shredded store-bought cheese for this, because we've said it a couple times now on this show. The pre-shredded cheese has cellulose or other things in it that keeps it from sticking together when it's in the bag, which is fine. It's okay if you want to sprinkle it on some tacos, or if you want to throw it over top a bowl of chili, something like that, that's fine. But when you need something cheesy and gooey and delicious, you don't want that. It'll just make it grainy and clumpy. Remember what happened when we used the store-bought, the shredded Parmesan?
Yeah.
It was yucky, right?
That was so like I can't explain it.
Yeah, it was gritty.
It's gritty.
Yeah, so
Gritty.
we don't want to do that. All right, put that all in the bowl.
The big bowl?
Mm-hmm. There you go.
And if there's no room left, we put it in the small bowl.
Nope, that small bowl's for the Parmesan.
Oh, right. Now we need the small bowl.
Right, what are we going to put in the small bowl?
The Parmesan cheese.
How much Parmesan? 6 ounces, right?
6 ounces.
6 ounces. So for this, we're actually going to get our scale out.
I have no idea what scale is.
Yes, you do.
Right.
So we'll do 6 ounces here. You want to do it on this side?
This side.
Yeah.
Cheese.
5.4, 5.8,
5.9.
6 ounces. Are we there?
Yes.
All right, now we just got to wait for that to finish up cooking.
Okay, we'll be back in a moment.
What's that?
Timer.
Is it done?
Yes.
Okay, so what do we have to do now?
We have to put the cheese.
Yeah, but what do we have to do with the pressure cooker first? The Instant Pot. We got to vent it, right?
Yeah.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Come back up.
I hate this sound.
This tends to make a little bit of a mess when it vents, so I throw a towel over the top.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're vented. We can open it up.
Steam.
Yep.
Steam coming.
Careful for the steam. Good. And sometimes, depending on how well you get it done, but sometimes it's going to leave a little bit of water. But put it on the saute setting for a couple minutes and stir it, and that'll boil off the rest of the water. Okay, we get it. You need to learn how to saute. All right, so now we got it all stirred up. What do we need?
The evaporated milk.
Right, 1 can, 12 ounces of evaporated milk. Pour that in. You want to give it a stir real quick?
Yep. No props.
There we go.
Okay.
And cheese. I'm going to start putting hands full of cheese in there. There you go. Starting to get ooey gooey, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Ooey.
Ooey gooey.
Ooey. Okay,
All right.
now.
You can dump the Parmesan.
Why do you keep?
All right, get it all. Dump the whole bowl.
Okay.
There we go. All right, you want to stir that up?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
It's thick and cheesy, huh?
Okay, this
All
was
right.
harder than I expected.
Was it?
Yes. Stirring that thing
Scrape
up.
down the edges. Make sure we get all that cheese in the middle. All right. This is how you like it, isn't it?
Yes.
You don't like it with any breadcrumbs or anything on it, right?
Gross.
Gross. All right. But what we can do is grab... All right, we're going to pour most of this. Save a little for our friend here. Into just a baking dish, a casserole dish. Anything you like, really, that is oven safe. And then we cover it with our panko breadcrumbs. Calls for about a cup, but
Just throw a little bit of cheese in there. So stir it up a little more. Boom. And there's more cheese in there.
the breadcrumbs will give it a little extra crispiness on top.
Yeah, the first time I tried it with the breadcrumbs, they were gross.
Like I said, it's good for a family because you can make some for those who don't like breadcrumbs and some for those who do. All right, take this and throw it in the oven for about 5 to 10 minutes, the broiler on high, and that'll crisp this up and make it nice and toasted brown. And we'll throw that in and be back in just a second. And there we have it. Should we
Eat.
let's get a little bit here.
Let's feast.
Let's feast. I got the forks already.
Okay.
We'll take a little of the crispy.
Which I'm not gonna have.
And then you've got yours. Bring yours up here. What do you think? Does it look good?
Let's feast.
Cheers. Pretty good, huh? Again, super easy. Kids love it. You can, dress it up a little bit, add a little something if you like it. A little more refined, sophisticated. I like to add a little more hot sauce, actually. And in fact, will you toss me the hot sauce? All right, TJ, go get me the hot sauce. A little more hot sauce on top. CJ, you just like yours as is, right? So that's it. That's mac and cheese, right? Thanks for helping me out, bud. You can find this recipe and all of our recipes on our website, feedscv.org. And also, all the things we make here on Food Sessions are on our YouTube channel. Check it out, youtube.com/feedscv. And of course, we're on the internet, social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever else we have. WhatsApp. No, not WhatsApp. But that's all. Find us at feedscv. For my son, CJ, I'm Todd. And for all of us here at FeedSCV and Food Sessions, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, this is Alexis Shaheen, and today we're going to make one of the most beloved cookie recipes on the planet, snickerdoodles. So let's get started with the recipe. For the cookie dough, you'll need 2 1/2 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of unsalted butter, softened, 1 1/2 cup of sugar, and 2 large eggs. For the cinnamon sugar, you'll need 1/4 cup of sugar and 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Mindful baking cultivates a sense of harmony in the mind and body, paying attention on purpose to the aromas, tastes, textures, colors, and sounds of your delightful home-baked creations creates a calm and steady presence in a world where distractions are constant. All right, so with that said, let's get started. In a large bowl, combine your dry ingredients. This is the flour, cream of tartar, baking soda, and salt. Make sure you combine it well and then set it aside. Now, in a stand-up mixer, cream your butter and sugar until light and fluffy. This should take no longer than 3 to 5 minutes. Then, one by one, beat in the eggs and make sure you scrape down the bowl a couple of times to ensure that all your ingredients are combined. Turn the mixer on low and slowly add your flour mixture, just until it's well combined. Set your dough aside and then get another bowl to mix 1/4 cup of sugar and your cinnamon in order to create a cinnamon sugar mixture. Prepare your baking sheet. You can either line it with a piece of parchment paper or you can use a Silpat like I have. Use a 2-ounce cookie scoop to measure out the dough balls. I have a 4-ounce scoop, and so as you can see, I'm only filling it about halfway. Roll each ball in your hands to even them out, and then roll it in the cinnamon sugar mixture and coat it thoroughly. Place the balls on a prepared baking sheet, and then bake them at 400 degrees for about 8 to 10 minutes, or until just barely golden around the edges. Once they're done baking, let the cookies cool for several minutes on a baking sheet before you move them to a cooling rack. You can serve them almost immediately. They're really good when they're warm. But with the addition of the baking soda and cream of tartar, these cookies tend to be nice and chewy on the inside and a little crispy on the outside. And that's it, my friends. One of the most beloved cookie recipes that only takes about 15 to 20 minutes in the kitchen. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Mindful Munchies and that the practice of mindfulness while making this recipe has helped you to feel what it's like to be grounded and present in the moment. Along with this recipe tutorial, I'd like to offer you an opportunity to turn this baking session into a mindfulness session. Mindful baking of these snickerdoodles provides a wonderful opportunity to be present.
Hi, this is Chef Tamara, coming to you from the Maine in downtown Newhall. Welcome to Tips and Tricks. This is Chef Tamara coming to you from the Maine downtown Newhall. Today's session is going to be about, you guessed it, cast iron. So let's talk a little bit about the history of cast iron. There are those scholars that believe that it was originated in China, like 2020 AD. Minerals and metals from the earth, which were originally put into like those cauldrons you can probably visualize with the witches and such like that from Halloween, but the cauldron was the very first type of cast iron cooking. It was in the 1700s when the last improvement to how these are all put together and made really came about. There hasn't been much new since then in the development of the cast iron. They came about with molds. And so what now happens is that you've got the hot metal, liquid metal, poured into the mold, and then once that's cold and cools off, they chop the molds away, and then you have your different shapes. Over the years, different shapes, of course, have come about, but there's so many different varieties of cast iron out there. So here we have just a few. Okay, so the first one that we have here is a griddle pan. You can see that it has the ridges in there, and they get really hot to make some nice score marks on your product. Here we have 3 different just plain surface type of cast irons. These actually all 3 came from my grandmother. So there's a testament to the longevity of how these, when properly taken care of, will last you. This one you may have seen in Mexican restaurants. It's got a great shape for doing all kinds of fajitas. Makes it nice and hot and sizzling. And then lastly, what I have, a friend gave me years ago for a birthday present. And this was actually made in 1408. It's actually a waffle maker. And so you would pour your batter in there and then put it back together. When one side cooks, then you just flip, and the other side cooks. Great for taking out to your campfires right now. So what makes cast iron so popular? So what's so great about cast iron? Well, number 1, it's visually appealing. Number 2, it lasts forever. I wish I even knew how old these pieces were. Then also you can restore these after they have gotten damaged a little bit. What do I mean by that? Pretty hard to break them, but if not properly taken care of, then they can dry out and they can also rust. But you can bring the life right back to them by following some simple steps. And then lastly, what's great about this stuff is that as opposed to other cookware, there's no toxic fumes that come off of this. So those are some really, really great things about using the cast iron. So let's talk about how to season cast iron. So you can buy pre-seasoned cast iron ware, but that doesn't mean that it will last forever. So you will have to possibly go back and bring it back to life a little bit. So there's 6 steps to doing the seasoning of cast iron. Okay, the first thing is, and you're going to want to do this even when you bring home your brand new pans from the store. You want to use warm soapy water. Yes, you can use water, and just wash the entire pan, inside, outside, the whole bit. All right, that's the number 1 thing. And then you want to dry it thoroughly with a dry rag. And you want to really, really make sure that you get all sides again. Next thing is going to be rubbing it with a food grade oil. Again, you want to rub the handle, you want to rub the sides, you want to rub underneath. Next thing that you want to do is you want to preheat your oven to about 450 degrees, okay? Now, you're going to have more than 1 rack in the oven. So place 1 rack lower than the other, and on that rack, place like a sheet pan. I would definitely suggest that you cover that in foil, and then place your cast iron pan upside down on top of the next rack, right over top of your sheet pan, because as it heats up, there is the possibility that that oil that you rubbed on there is going to drip down. So you want to have that sit in there and bake for about 30 to 45 minutes. Then after that, take them out of the oven, let them cool, and then guess what? You're going to repeat that 3 to 5 times. Around the 4th time, it really is ready, and we call all of this process the seasoning process, and what you're looking for is this shiny patina, and that is the non-stick. You might want to put your fan on because it could get a little smoky. So let's talk about what are some of the best foods to cook in these cast iron pans. Some of my favorite things is do blackening. I love doing blackened fish and salmon in my cast iron. The more times you use oil in these things, the better and longer your seasoning's going to last. So there you go. So fried chicken. Scallops are really good. Hash browns. This is like one of the original ways to make hash browns. Dutch babies, which is a dessert or like a breakfast apple kind of pancake, is really good. Cornbread, burgers, because you can get that really good sear on the bottom. A large cookie, steak, really good to get your sear. We all have different kinds of stoves and cooktops. There are some differences. Let's talk about them. A couple of things, though, that you do want to be careful of is you need to look at the type of stove that you have. So you might have a glass stove top, or electric, or you might have the gas. If you are using an electric stove, you want to turn it on and have it heating for about 10 minutes before you put cast iron pan on there. So turn it up to high, put it on timeout for 10 minutes. and then put your pan on there. Give it some time, a couple of minutes to heat up. But then what you're going to want to do is once you've put your product in, you want to turn the heat down to medium and maybe even low, because you do get some uneven cooking spots when you're using the electric or the glass. You also want to be really careful. We all have a tendency when we're cooking that we're going to shake our pan to get the product back and forth. You really can't do that when you're working on glass or electric. So you might want to have to pick it up and turn it when you're using it on those. And then lastly, I want to make mention that you have to be careful if you're using metal, because you can scratch if you're using metal tools and metal cookware. So your spatulas or any kind of tongs. So be really, really careful. You can get heat-resistant spatulas, heat-resistant covered tongs to use, and that's what I would suggest when you're going to be using these. So now that you're finished cooking and you enjoyed that meal you just made, let's talk about how should you clean these. So let's talk about you finished cooking, you finished using it. Now what do you do? So go ahead and use your soapy water. It's okay to use a sponge that has a little abrasiveness, like the Scrubbies that have the green side. It's got some texture to it. It's okay to use that. Go ahead and soak water and scrub, and then rinse thoroughly dry. And what I like to do to really make sure that it's dry is I turn one of the burners on my cooktop stove, and I just set this on there. And what that's going to do is it's going to get all that moisture. It's going to just evaporate, and you will have a minimal chance of having any kind of rusting. And then once it cools down, you go back to using your food grade oil. So you're going to want to do that every time after you cook. It's almost like a mini seasoning. This is Tamara with Tips and Tricks in the Kitchen. Remember, there's a tool for every task. Have a great day. Cheers.
Hey, I'm Todd Wilson,
And I'm Scott Irvin.
and we are the co-founders of Feed SCV. Our mission at Feed SCV is to make sure that everyone in the Santa Clarita Valley has the access, the knowledge, and the skills to make a healthy meal at home every day.
And we do that in several different ways, teaching people how to make their own food, dietary suggestions. That quickly grew into other areas.
We soon recognized that there was a need in the community for having access to food. So we've taken part of our operation, and now we work to put food in the kids' backpacks on the weekend so that they can take it home and have a healthy meal.
One of the other things that we've done is respond to local disasters. And we've been able to organize our volunteers to make some food, get some money together to help out the victims and evacuees in some cases. As a nonprofit, of course, we need support. You can visit us at feedscv.org and participate in a number of different events that we have and social media as well.
I think it's really fun to cook. When I'm bored sometimes, and I'll just figure out what ingredients I have in the house to make something and just fudge it, so that's always fun, just making stuff up. Basing, okay, I have 2 flour tortillas, and I have some chicken and some cheese. I can totally make a quesadilla right now. What else can I add in there that might be interesting? I have some corn, canned corn, great. Maybe I can add that in there, and there's a little wee bit of onion, throw that in there, maybe a little garlic, just kind of make it up. But I also like, I think people that say they can't cook, they're lying, because you can totally, if you can read, you can cook. Because I just follow directions, there's not really, even things I've done for years, I still just look at the directions and follow that, even though, I probably don't need that. But again, if you can read, you can cook. All right, so I'm gonna cut our first chicken breast into some pieces. And I don't really care about how it looks. I mean, as far as, I don't have a method to my madness as far as how to cook or how to cut the chicken breast. We just want it into chunks that are that you can swallow pretty much in one go. Well, chew it and then swallow it, of course, but nothing giant, but nothing like really small either. So this is a breast that I kind of boiled as opposed to grilled. The recipe is a grilled chicken feta cucumber salad, but I do not have a grill. And so I just boiled it instead. I think that's good for the first breast. So put that puppy in this bowl. We have a whole nother breast to go. And some other stuff we're cutting up. Alright, so we're gonna cut this other breast. Again, for me, it's just kind of like just digging in and making chunks, and there's no like method to the madness. We're gonna cut this half right now, and we'll get to the other one in a minute. Alright, that's good enough for me and you, so that'll be good. And we'll dump that in with the other chicken, and we'll have all of our chicken cut and ready to go. Alright, so now we're going to start on one of our cucumbers. I'm not going to cut it on this one because I cut meat on this one that's raw meat and stuff like that. So it's kind of veggies and stuff I cut on this cutting board. So we're just going to start in, again, I have no like real method other than we want them in chunks. And so I'm just going to cut this thing into a few and then go down the side of the thing. See what we get. Alright, now we're going to move this over, cucumbers into the bowl. And I'm just going to keep them separate from the meat right now, and we'll put all that stuff together at some point here in the very near future. Alright. So we're going to cut this red onion. I'm going to use a bigger knife for this one, even though I'm like not the most confident with knives. But again, for me, it doesn't really need to be like totally precise as far as someone that's watching this that knows how to cook is just like, no, that's not how you do it. Again, I'm not trained, but you know, I know how to read, so again, that's horrible probably from someone that actually knows how to cook, but it gets what we need, really. Boom, boom. And my eyes are only slightly watering. Even with glasses on, I'm like, whew. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to put the onion into the bowl here with the cucumber. Yummy! Alright, so now we're going to cut up some herbs for this, and I'm going to start with the mint. Just kind of mush it all together. Again, I don't know if this is proper, but it makes it so that everything's compact and you can cut the pieces rather than having a lot of big leaves. That's okay. I need 3 tablespoons of that, so I'm just going to measure this. And 1, it's 2, and close enough. 3. And now we're going to repeat this with the dill. Alright, so we've basically cut up 1 chicken breast, and we have 2 cups or 2 cucumbers diced here, red onion, a cup of that, and we have our 3 tablespoons of dill, 3 tablespoons of mint, and over here at the end, to improvise, because I did not bring a grate with me, a grater, so we used the peeler, and there's happily that stuff on that side, so we made our did our best, and that will be totally fine again, because you know me, I'm not totally particular on how I cut things. Now we're gonna put all the ingredients into one big bowl, mix it up, and then be able to eat. So we're gonna start out with our improvised lemon peel, and then we're gonna get over to this dill and mint. Put that in there. Wonderful. This is lemon juice, fresh lemon juice. This is red sea salt. You don't have to have red sea salt, but I just, that's actually honestly all the salt I have in my house right now, so I brought it with me. I have pepper in this, again, because I needed a little bowl, but I used them all. So we're gonna put some pepper in there, right on. Cool. Our feta cheese, love it. Put that in there. And then we're gonna finish up with our chicken breast. And okay. Now we just mix this up. A lot of times when I'm just doing this myself, I just use my hands. But you know, since Sean is here and he's gonna partake, I'm not gonna use my hands to mix this up. And if I were to serve this to somebody else, I would use my hands. But that is it. Voila. All right, so we've wrapped up. Again, there's basically 5 items in here that you have to cut a little bit and dice. And then there's a few other ingredients for this chicken feta cucumber red onion salad. And we're gonna plate some up for Sean and I and try this out. Again, very simple recipe. If you can read, you can cook as far as I'm concerned. And this is a really great, easy recipe and nice for summertime especially, but really anytime you want something light and just something that has some flavor and but is light and not really heavy. And so those are our 2 servings for Sean and I.